the impasse between Governor Godwin Obaseki of Edo State and his deputy, Philip Shuaibu, over who succeeds him as governor in 2024 has worsened. Now the deputy governor, Philip Shuaibu, has proceeded to court to obtain an injunction against an alleged impeachment plot against him has been orchestrated by the governor. Justice Ahmed Mohammed of the Federal High Court Abuja, in the interim injunction issued on Thursday, ordered Obaseki and others to halt their alleged bid to impeach Shuaibu over alleged infractions. The court subsequently directed the parties in the suit to maintain status quo ante bellum. For a conversation on the situation in Edo State, let's now turn to PDP Deputy National Youth Leader Timothy Osadalor and former APC member-elect for Edo Assembly, Washington Osifo. Good to have you two on Newsday.
Yeah, good to have you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. It's good to have you, Mr. Timothy.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Now, let me start with you, Mr. Timothy, since you're here with me in the studio. What's your take on this alleged impeachment saga against the deputy governor of Edo State?
Well, I think for watchers of the polity of Edo, it comes as a surprise because what we are used to was the harmonious working relationship between the two characters in question. But like we say, unbridled ambition at times can be very, very destructive. Now, I don't see a reason why these issues should have come to this point it is now if things were taken more maturely by the deputy governor on his part. The elections or the purported suspensions that he has made him to run to court now, the elections are yet to even come. INEC has not even fixed timetable. And the speculation that he wants to be impeached is still at the realm of speculation. There's no such action on the table, and there's no such action so far by the House members. And going to court again has also thrown up two issues that I think Nigerians should also have reasons and cause to start talking about. Can an individual single-handedly just wake up one morning and go to court to seek an injunction to restrain two arms of government of spurious grounds? Now you are asking the court to restrain the legislative arm of Edo State government and the judiciary arm of Edo State from acting against your perceived or his perceived impeachment, which is still at the level of speculation because there's no action in that direction other than conversations that may not be true. Now, if not for the wisdom of the judge who has said that court should be given or there should be a stay of execution, a stay of who gave an injunction or a stay order so that people can come and present their cases. If he was some other judge and give ruling on the grounds of what was presented before him, it would have been most unfortunate. Now, if a general precedent might be set by this pronouncement now. If tomorrow I feel that the president will implement his budget and may not favor my state, do I go to court to ask the judge to stop the National Assembly from passing that budget? So these are the conversations that this spurious court injunction that our deputy governor has gone to court to ask for. These are some of the conversations we should be asking.
Okay, Mr. Osifo, let me come to you. I'd like to know, why do you think that the deputy governor felt he needed a court injunction to actually stop any alleged impeachment proceedings against him? Like Mr. Osadalor has noted, he said initially the two men had great working relationship. So what do you think could have gone wrong? Why did he have to run to the court at this point where it is still all speculation if he's going to be impeached?
Well, first, let me start by greeting my brother, Honorable Timothy Osadalor. How are you? It's been a while.
Good afternoon, Mauga.
But for me, I think as a human being, everybody has a right. If you feel your right is threatened and someone is about to trample on those rights, that's the reason why the courts are there. Whether an act of speculation or otherwise, it is for the court to decide. It is better to take necessary steps to stop an act which is possible rather than slipping over your right and cry foul when the act is done. Now, an act starts from an intention. And I want to say that if it's become something that has been synonymous with Edo, particularly for the past 4 years. We were victims of an intention that was never going to come to play when we were accused of an intention to impeach the governor. It was this same deputy governor I learned, from my investigation while the battle was on, that he lied to the governor. For whatever reasons, I don't know, he always try to pretend to the governor that he's in control. I've been a member of the State House of Assembly where he rose to the ranks of a majority leader. He would always want to put to his boss that he has control of the assembly. He has the workings, the knowledge of the workings of the assembly. Therefore, I can always watch your back. In watching his back, he told him lies that never were. And at the end of the day, we suffered for the 4 years. And my brother that is there, I come from his local government to one of their local government. He knows, my abilities and what we would have done if we were given the opportunity. But the rift in Edo was largely promoted in Edo politics and even in Edo relationship by way of families, because we all know each other. It was promoted by no other person, by the Deputy Governor, Honorable Felix-Shuaibu. So when I see him running to Justice A.R.O. Mohammed's court 4, it's a court that Felix-Shuaibu is very, very familiar with. The question I ask is that in the same court, we were taken to that same court, when we went to that same court to seek redress, so that the court should have reasons to even listen to us, to address the reason why our seats were declared vacant. I can tell you, despite the affidavit of urgency that we filed, I don't know why the court thought it wise in their wisdom never to do justice to that question, to the question we sought, one way or the other. Now, what they are asking, the court is asking, should we not take it as a mere academic exercise? Why do you think that you should still be heard? In my view, and in the view of the law, provided we were there before the court, why the matter subsisted, I thought that the reasonable thing to do by a reasonable court, man by a reasonable man, would be that justice must be dispensed one way or the other. It must be well situated to say either we were wrong in not going to the house to be inaugurated, or the governor and his co-travelers unlawfully excluded us from the sitting. One way or the other, a decision must be reached. The applications are there before his lordship, and I still think that the right thing should be done. If not for the sake of the 14 of us, but for the sake of justice, for the sake of democracy, and for the sake of tomorrow. So for me, it was anticipatory. If they say so, I am not a member of a PDP, so it is not possible for me to know the workings, of PDP or what they are planning. But I can tell you from what I'm hearing from the other side now, from a man who probably is well situated as a member of the NWC of his party, the PDP, then he's in the proper position, given his relationship with the governor and even with the deputy governor, to be able to enlighten us on what is happening. But again, it is this issue of impeachment. Anytime anything wants to go wrong, what they put to the table is the threat for the governor that somebody is just about to be impeached. I think if we didn't intend it, but Felix-Shuaibu, in his wisdom, maliciously led the governor to a fight that was not necessary, and we became victim. I think it is his own shadow. Like I said in the sister station this morning, evil has retribution. It is a case of when, not whether. Thank you.
Now, before I go on, I would like you to react, to what Mr. Washington just said about the deputy governor leading the governor, maliciously into a fight that did not necessarily involve the lawmakers that are yet to be sworn in. What would you like to say about that?
You see, a whole lot of things have gone down, and it's painful that 14 lawmakers, which had some very vibrant members, like the last speaker, as members, didn't get the opportunity to contribute to their quota. And I think that a lot of persons played one role, positively or negatively, in that regard. And at the vanguard of all of this, we could not have extricated the roles of the deputy governor alone, and let's just say, for the purpose of this exercise, let's flog him to death. The truth is that unbridled ambition has crept over the deputy governor and made him to be doing some of these things he's doing. But that is not to say that he cannot retrace his steps back. The truth is that, like my brother has said, I think the deputy governor is familiar with that particular court, and that's why he has gone back to that court. And I don't know his level of relationship with the court. But what I know is that common sense has died in his calculations. If common sense has not taken a leave of his thinking politically, I'm convinced that he should have taken a background study of the state he comes from. In Edo, he comes from a zone where the first deputy governor of the state is from his area, succeeded by a governor who didn't do up to 2 years, and Comrade Oshomole came, another governor from his area. Same local government. Now he has been he's the deputy governor now going to 8 years now from same local government. It's only expedient that for equity's sake, that room and space is given to all other persons to aspire. Nobody is saying you should not aspire, but don't force the system to come and crown you king, or don't force the hand of anybody to come and endorse you as against that of any other person. So for me, I think it's unfortunate what has happened, but it's not too late to walk his steps back. And in walking his steps back, I think if he will not allow ego to become his hubris, there's still enough time for him to make amends with those he has offended. And whatever he is now, if he's looking and watching, he should also know that there are political stooges under him, that his actions and inactions may have consequence on. So he should, for the sake of the bigger picture and the unity of the states, shoot his ambition for now and wait for when INEC will make known its calendar for elections. For now, overeating the system when your principal has said he wants to focus on governance is something that is very, very unnecessary. They say over a year and 5 months for the end of this tenure. If for now the man says, I want to concentrate on governance, the least you owe him as his deputy is support and not confrontation or public embarrassment. Today, Edo is now an issue being discussed in every TV house, radio house, or newspaper. And what he has done to himself now by starting this unnecessary war, or media war, or whatever I think he's doing now, by October, November, nobody will be talking about this issue again. And he will have successfully played himself out of the equation of whatever I think he's angry for. For me, I think internally he can come back home, have a robust discussions with the political family that he belongs to, unless he has made up his mind on joining forces with other third forces or partners. Like, that is the reason why I can think he'll be thinking or talking the way he's doing now. Why go to court, or why be making people go talk for you against a principal, which are things you know are not true, things you know will not happen, things you know are not even necessary. For me, it's unfortunate.
Now, Mr. Osifo, we are getting some reports, or shall I say rumors or speculations, that probably the deputy governor might emulate a former governor of Rivers State, and ally himself with the APC in order to realize his ambition. Are you worried about this?
Well, in politics, everything is possible. I am not worried about anything because I'm a man that is familiar with my terrain, and I'm always prepared for what happens next. And politics is a game of chess, and sometimes you are played out and sometimes you are played in. Sometimes you can even play yourself out, not by the intentions of others, but by your own wrong calculations. So whatever it is, I don't want to take whatever the governor of Rivers State, the route he took. Sometimes it could have worked for him positively. It may not be one situation that fits all. So for me, we will wait to see. It's never in my habit to speculate. I deal with issues as they come. So that is what I want to put as my response to your question.
Now, Mr. Osadalor, the PDP seems to be racked with so much internal crisis at the moment. You know, it's quite hard for it to play the role of a leading opposition party. So I'm wondering what has been done to reconcile all aggrieved members, you know, strategize for future elections so that we will not be having this sort of discussions going forward.
Well, for a party that prides itself as the largest political party in Africa, internal issues are prone to happen now and then. It is the maturity of the leaders and the elders of the party to manage all of this that will determine if the party survives or does not survive. I will be deceiving myself if I don't know that the wranglings internally within the party has cost us a lot. But I will also tell you now that you can see the statement that Governor Bala, the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, issued on Saturday on behalf of the stakeholders of the party and leaders of the party. So the party has reinforced its commitment to reconciliation and togetherness and inclusiveness, which was the bane of most persons that wanted to work against the party. But again, in any society where discipline does not exist, you are bound to have dissidents here and there. So I'm glad that the PDP has come out openly on Saturday to say discipline will be enforced amongst its ranks and saboteurs or anti-party agents opposing as members of the party will no longer be tolerated. So let's believe that having had this commitment at the top echelon of the party, it will trickle down to the roots of the party, and the party will become healthier and better for it in the long and even in the short term. So reconciliation is ongoing, and I believe it will work. So let's keep our hands open and our ears open too.
Mr. Osifo, I'm wondering, you know, if you can advise on how we can end this frequent succession conflicts that usually arise between governors and their deputies. For instance, you know, like Mr. Osadalor said, the governor still has over a year in office. INEC has not released election timetable, and already the center seems, you know, to be falling apart. So how do we get political office holders to focus on the job, you know, at the time they are supposed to be doing the job of serving the people, of leading the people, and not just playing politics?
Well, you can't really stop, so long as there will always be, a man will always be there to push his ambition and synonymous with life and existence, then you can't put an end to it. But one thing that can be advised is you must be done within, moderation, acceptable norms, you know, as it would be expected in a civilized society. If you have uncivilized people manning the affairs of men and providing leadership, at one time or the other, vaulting ambition, not just ordinary ambition, becomes the order of the day. And there is no way you have vaunting ambition and you want to do the right thing within the context of the law. So for me, I think that inordinate and vaulting ambition, you know, of some persons is actually what is driving us crazy in Edo as it is today. Unfortunately, I am not a member of that party, and I'm supposed not to be saying I'm having anything to do, so that I'm not branded in Medicine Interloper. However, I am from Edo State. I hail from there. And some of the activities of this government, led by the governor of Edo State, working closely with Obaseki-Shuaibu, the deputy governor, who today is at loggerhead with his boss, you know, I mean, did manifest injustice and injury to me as a person and to other 13 colleagues, where they just lied against us that we had intention, even when we were not sworn in, that our mission was to unseat the governor by what they call impeachment. But what I hear these days is that they are putting before Nigerians that they understand that process is a process, and it's a very Herculean process that cannot be seen through by anybody. If they can say the governor of Edo State cannot see through the impeachment of his deputy, how much could it have been that we, the 14 members of the House of Assembly, could have seen that through? So what is before Nigerians now is that it is clear that it was politics taken too far. It was rascality and wickedness taken too far. Like I said in the sister station, we have suffered it, we have moved on, we have put it behind us, we are forgiving them, and tomorrow is another day.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Mr. Osadalor, there are reports, that barring any last-minute changes, that the governor of Edo State will disobey the pronouncement of the court and will indeed move ahead with impeachment proceedings. I'd like you to react to that.
That's overstating that is not even saying things as it is. The records of the governor speaks volumes manifestly for itself. Is a respecter of the law, is a respecter of what is right and what is fair. And he believes that it's only when rule and order reigns, that is when justice can also reign in the land. When people give the deputy governor of Edo State or any deputy governor in this country too much powers, far and above their capacities, it's quite unfortunate. I'm sure now that we're in Lagos now, if we ask people around the studio the name of the deputy governor of Ogun State, I'm not sure up to 2 persons here can be able to identify him. Here's a governor who believes that his deputy governor should be like a co-mate with him in governance. In the history of our state, Edo, and in very few states, I'm not sure even the man in Ekiti, in Ondo, I don't want to use this condition now, I'm not sure he was able to transmit power to his deputy before he left. But it's on record that the Edo governor believes in transmission of power to his deputy anytime he wants to leave or will have cause to leave the state. That's a man who believes that that is the way things should be done. So I don't see him flouting or being too much in a hurry to take off the deputy governor if really he wants to move against him. At any rate, the deputy governor, the question I will ask him is this: where his members from his constituency, which is the axis of the state, if he had members representing him in those constituencies, would he have gone to court also to restrain them from doing the elected duties they were performed to do? It's because he doesn't have a member in the House out of the 4 seats in the constituency. That's why he's running up and down. If he has members from the constituency in the party with him, maybe he would have been able to hear from them firsthand and know the rumors that's pushing him to court now to go and challenge what is not coming after him. I will urge him to not put the governor in bad light, because negative publicity is very disastrous. Let him also know that he, as deputy governor, he's also seen as a co-governor in the state. That he got carried away by the transmission letters the governor was issuing to him most many times, or the privileges accorded to him most many times, doesn't mean he's governor. He should also learn to know his place in the scheme of things and also not put his principal and the bigger Edo State in the negative news for personal reasons that belongs to him and him alone. Because if people share in his ambition, I'm sure people will see through his ambition and make him become who he wants to be. So it's not the governor that will make a governor after him. It's only God that will make governors after in this country and in this world. All our efforts as humans are just efforts. So all these actions that he's just doing now, like I think it was William Shakespeare in his book who said, all sounds and fury, it amounts to nothing. But for him, it's only not only amounting to nothing now, it's also amounting to embarrassment for him and his person. Because people that have looked up to him as role models and as exemplary picture of a competent and loyal deputy governor, they'll be wondering what has changed overnight. From the most loyal deputy governor celebrated everywhere in this country to the one that is now going to court to fight his principal. I don't think it's a narrative or a toga he will want to wear. So let him not put the governor of the state, who is a law abider, in bad light.
Mr. Osifo, one final question before I let you gentlemen go. How much influence should a governor have on who becomes the successor? If indeed we are practicing democracy, shouldn't it be the people that decide, through their votes?
Well, ultimately so, and I'm sure the governor is aware. I'm also sure the deputy governor is aware, just like you at the other end, that ultimately the people will decide. But in the people deciding, the governor is an individual. He will have his own interest, just like the deputy governor is having his interest. But let me just put something in the true perspective. Yeah, a man will always have his ambition and his desires and pursue it. But ultimately, the will of God will certainly prevail. And I think what is happening, this should not really, I would be surprised if this is strange to the governor. The governor knew that it was a marriage of convenience. And like I said in the sister station, it was going to collapse anyways, one way or the other. So they have been waiting for this hour, and the hour has come. It was a marriage of convenience built on mutual suspicion. And I don't know, how that one was going to work. I think he just decided to throw himself into the ring. Let us start the battle before it consumes us. And I'm sure the governor is also thinking of how to respond to that. And let me quickly put it. It was not that Philip-Shuaibu was the most celebrated deputy governor in Nigeria. If you want to even define that, celebrated for what? Celebrated for ingratitude for a man who brought him from zero to something. In the presence of Comrade Adams Ali Oshomole, celebrated that he offered to sell the man like Judas sold Jesus Christ for a piece of silver, and he got from his boss. Celebrated that because of that, in appreciation of betraying his father, then he was given free hands to operate the way he's operated as a way to say thank you for betraying your father. Celebration that the public was looking at him with disdain to say, what manner of man is this who could betray? What Edo is known for today is that those in authority, they have been laced with the possible names of being addressed as betrayers. And it's unfortunate. And what I like is that the means of God grants slowly, but it grants exceedingly smooth. For everyone who is even betraying now, tomorrow is another day. Judgment Day is here, and Judgment Day has come. So I am happy with what is happening, but like I said in the sister station, I feel for Edo, because anytime that there is political squabble like this, it is the economy of the state that suffers. It is the security of the state that suffered. It is infrastructure that suffered. It is the unity and pride of the people that suffered. It is the name that Edo has brought over time as an entity, that is always a forerunner in doing what is right, just, fair, and equitable. This is what we suffer when the authority, those in the seat of authority, they promote personal interest, primordial sentiment over and above the unity and the general interest of the people. It is unfortunate, but like I said, tomorrow is another day. But I want to sound a note of caution that there is no need. There is absolutely no need to continue to fight when we ought to discuss like sane human beings. I am sure even the pet animals in the bush, sometimes, for the past 7 years, I am sure they are not too pleased with what we human beings, particularly some of us in the do what we are doing. And I think that even if it was an error, assuming the governor was misled, and he suddenly now realized, because I heard it from certain persons, that he said he was misled by Philip-Shuaibu to ensure that we were kept out of office. This office, we have been kept out for 4 years, and it truly came to an end. And the governor still slept till today, and he did nothing about his fellow brothers who also assisted him to come to power. It is most unfortunate, because my brother just mentioned there just now that what is left for this government is 1 year and 5 months. The question is, this day will pass. And when it does pass, we will still be here as human beings. How will I look at you, and how will you look at me? So I want to live in peace with my people. I want my tomorrow to even be better. I think this is the time to make up for those you have wronged, because it is wrong. It is wrong to hurt people. It is even worse when you wrong them and you do nothing to remedy the wrongs. It is unfortunate, like I said, we have suffered. It is not cured. As it is today, it seems to me that we cannot reinvent the wheel to go back to that house, because that tenor is gone, and is gone for life. It is now in the basket of history. But tomorrow, like I said, is another day. This nonsense in Edo must stop. There is no need for those in authority to fight. They should allow governance to go on. They should allow, due process to go on. They should allow good relationship to take precedence. They should allow Edo to be in the news, if it must, for the good reason and not for the bad reason. Because whenever things like this are there, they compare us to others in very negative terms. And it hurts very badly. It hurts very, very badly.
Former APC lawmaker-elect Washington Osifo and Timothy Osadalor, PDP Deputy National Youth Leader, Thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.